Hello there, Ben Bowers, the Spirit Specialist, and I am here today to talk to you about Three Wrens Key Lime Pie Edition. Now you probably might have seen the previous Three Wrens video reviews that I've done. A distillery in Cheshire that produce a range of gins that, yes, you can call them flavoured gins, but they're not adding flavourings. These are botanically flavoured gins. So doing things properly as far as I'm concerned. And if you've seen those videos, you've probably gathered that I'm really impressed with the work that Nick Wadeson, the owner and founder of Three Wrens, is doing with these flavour profiles. And this is the latest edition for summer, a key lime pie edition. Now I love the apple crumble. That was the one that really got me onto the distillery itself. And when he told me that this was going to be his next limited run, I was really looking forward to it. So before I tell you what this tastes like and if it is as good as I'm hoping it's going to be, let me give you a bit of background information about Three Wrens itself. The Three Wrens distillery is based in Cholmondeley, Cheshire, and the only reason I know how to pronounce that word properly is thanks to the character created by Harry Enfield. It was founded in August 2019 by Nick Wadeson. Nick had previously worked as a mixologist, bar owner and brand manager before realising a long-term dream to create his own brand of gin. A handmade copper pot still named Valerie is used for production, and all of the gins are single shot, meaning dilution only uses water as opposed to a combination with a neutral spirit. And each batch they run produces around 100 bottles. As well as an original dry gin, Three Wrens also features a range of different flavour additions. These are created by macerating various ingredients in the wheat-based spirit before re-distilling to gin. Those ingredients in the main are locally sourced from the fields and forests surrounding the distillery. Key lime pie is a classic American dessert dating back to around 1935. It's made from key lime juice, which are yellow limes more tart and aromatic than classic green Persian limes, which is combined with egg yolks and sweetened condensed milk. Naturalized throughout the Florida Keys, key limes have not been grown commercially in the USA since the 1926 Miami hurricane, instead being imported from Central and South America. Sometimes topped with whipped cream or meringue, it's traditionally cooked in a graham cracker crust, although some offerings don't bother with a crust at all. The Three Wrens Key Lime Pie Edition, released in July 2021 at an ABV of 40%, is a distillation of fresh limes, lime leaf, yarrow herb, meadowsweet, juniper and coriander seeds with the wheat spirit. However, it's the maceration of Biscoff in the base spirit for 24 hours before distilling, along with including some more in the botanical basket, that evokes the pie crust element to complete the key lime pie flavour profile. And so, Nick was very kind enough to send me a little sample. This is all I've got, and I don't have a lot left, and I need to do the video, so I'm not going to have that much left for customers, unfortunately, unless I crack open a bottle, which I'm very tempted to. So, you would have known if you've seen the other Three Wrens that I'm really impressed with the flavour profiles he's pulling out. The bloody apricot, even like the bison grass, the raspberry, the rhubarb, they are really interesting, really well made, really high quality. So key lime pie. Key lime pie can go in a number of different directions. As I mentioned in the background information, key lime pie doesn't have to have meringue on top. Sometimes it's with whipped cream, sometimes it's a pie crust. Most of the time it's this graham cracker, which is a bit like a digestive biscuit, but Americans like their food sweet. If you get a loaf of bread in America, more often than not, it's really sweet. You know, it's why British and Europeans look at Americans and go, what is up with your food? Why is it so sugary sweet? You know, the cereal aisle in America compared to a cereal aisle in England or Britain is like chalk and cheese. Not that we have chalk and cheese cereal, but you know, we have one row and it's all fairly healthy with some kids cereal that we're kind of like not too keen on because it's a bit too sugary. American cereal aisle is like half a mile long and every color of the rainbow, and everything is almost bright neon. So the graham cracker crust is, it's not quite like ginger nuts. If you were making a key lime pie in Britain, we don't really do graham crackers. It's more kind of like, it would be more digestive biscuits, but possibly ginger nuts as well. So you get a slight kind of sweet gingery feel in with the lime as well. And again, the lime, that kind of like, it's the condensed milk. So it's a bit like a lime cheesecake. That can go a number of ways as well. it can be quite like super tart, almost sour, whereas other times the liminess can be almost non-existent, and it's almost like a very delicate lime cheesecake with a ginger nut pie. Yeah, it becomes more lime cheesecake than it does key lime pie. It's kind of a texture. It's not quite as rich and dense as a cheesecake. It's a bit silkier because you're using that condensed milk. And then it's whether you've got the meringue or the whipped cream on top, or you just have it completely plain. So key lime pie can go in all sorts of different directions, even though it's kind of like key lime pie, that's about it. But it really can go sharp, sweet, sickly almost. So to get the balance right, it's going to be very, very interesting. Now, spoiler alert, I've already tried this, obviously, if you'd have seen the miniature, and I did really like it. But let me try and give you an indication of why it is that I like it, and why I think, yet again, Nick has nailed it. So, on the nose, straight away you get the pie crust element. The lime is underneath. You don't get a burst of lime straight away. It's very much, it's pie crust, and there's a sweet gingery note, almost like a sweet gingerbread, and that's where that Biscoff element comes in. Now, Biscoff are those kind of like quite dark caramelized sugar biscuits that you tend to get in most cafes nowadays, except for the big chains. If you order an espresso or something like that, or if you're in a hotel or a posh restaurant and you have a coffee after dinner, you will get that little packet of Lotus. Lotus is I don't know if Biscoff is actually trademarked by Lotus, because there are other brands of Biscoff around there, but it tends to be a Lotus biscuit in a little packet. If you're lucky, you get two. Normally you just get one with an espresso. But that biscuitiness is what is coming through with lime underneath. Now, I feel like I'm going to sneeze, so I'm going to be very careful as I'm talking, because I might have to cut away as I do a sneeze. Anyway, as I do a sneeze. So, biscuity, and the more you nose it, the more the lime comes through. But it's not a sharp lime, it's quite fragrant, it's quite aromatic, and it's quite gentle. Now, nosing this, it feels like it could be quite sweet, because the biscuit element is almost a little bit overwhelming. And I think for some people, particularly if you're not keen on kind of like cinnamon, nutmeg, there's a nutmeggy feel to this as well. It's not really cinnamon, it's more of a nutmeg ginger sweetness in there. It can be a little bit overpowering on the nose, and I can imagine for some people they're going to nose this and go, oh, that's really quite sweet. Not liqueur-y sweet, but it is pretty intense. And you're not kind of on the nose going, yeah, key lime pie. You know, if you were like, right, what flavour is this gin? And you nosed it, you wouldn't really be thinking key lime pie. You'd be thinking more kind of like, oh, is this ginger nuts? Is it gingerbread? Is it like a sweet bread? That sort of thing. There's the definite biscuitiness to it. So it's not screaming out liminess, but on the palate, this is where he gets the balance spot on, because that biscuitiness that's on the nose is absolutely dialed back. You get quite a nice thick creamy mouthfeel, and that's sort of evoking that if it had a meringue top on it. And the lime goes from here with the biscuit and they swap places, but it's still fragrant, it's still aromatic, it's not sharp, it's not tart. This is not a lime gin, as you get like these lemon and orange gins and these citrus gins where it's very full on. This is much more subdued. And what that helps with is that creamy element of the sweetened condensed milk with the key limes. You get that texture from the gin as well. And what also helps is, because this is gin, because you have the juniper, you have the coriander seeds, that's adding to the slightly sharper edge of a lime, but it's not overpowering. Now, a recent video that I did was for Jaffa Cake, vodka, gin and rum. And what I'd found was the Jaffa Cake gin, the ginniness got in the way. It was actually detracting from the Jaffa Cake flavours. With this, because you're dealing with a citrus fruit with the key limes, the ginniness, which is a bit weird me saying it because I have a old friend called Ginny, is the ginniness of it is actually helping the citrusy element. The lime is quite subdued, and the juniper and coriander is actually helping lift that up a little bit more, and it's getting the balance absolutely spot on. And as I took that mouthful, I breathed in through my nose, and it accentuated a bit more of the biscuitiness that's there on the nose. So actually it balances it even more. So this is almost a drink of two parts. The nose is very much that biscuit base underneath, buttery biscuit base. And if you know, you know. There's that buttery biscuit base, biscuit base, buttery biscuit base. Might cut that out. On the nose, and then on the palate is the middle section of the key lime pie with also the meringue sitting on top of it. And I prefer it with meringue rather than whipped cream because like American whipped cream is just so rich. So if you take a slight breath in as you're drinking it, you get a little bit more of that biscuit base along with the middle section. The balance is fantastic. It does need to be chilled. What I will say is kind of like the warmer it gets, the liminess kind of goes a little bit flabby. So it does need to be nicely chilled. With a tonic, you really need to be careful with what mixer you have with this, because I think chilled as an aperitif just on its own, I think works absolutely brilliantly. Tonics are a bit more difficult. Something neutral, Fever Tree Mediterranean, Fentimans Connoisseur, something like that. The back label does talk about lime tonic, Artisan Amalfi lime tonic. What I would like to try this with, and I haven't got around to it yet because I literally bought a bottle last night, is the Fever Tree Mexican lime soda. I do want to try it with this. There is also basically a gin sour. So whereas with a gin sour you'd use lemon juice, a gin sour with this and a little squeeze of lime juice I think is going to work absolutely brilliantly. Now this also talks about, it calls it a gin martini on the back. It's on the back label it does talk about a key lime martini, key lime pie gin, lime juice, sugar syrup, 1 egg white, shake vigorously. That's a gin sour, not really a martini, but ignoring the name, that will work really well. And he does talk about crushed digestive biscuits sprinkled over the foam topping. I would probably err on actually really crushing those digestive biscuits and actually having it on the rim rather than sprinkled on the top, because that's going to soak in and go a bit claggy. I think if you use, like, really crush those biscuits down and have it as the rim around the edge along with that sour. Haven't tried it yet. Unfortunately, I don't think I've got enough in there to actually make the cocktail. So I don't know what I'm going to do. There aren't many bottles of this either, so you might be able to see on the label. These are handwritten. It's the only other kind of like sour note on this is the rest of the Three Lines range in those frosted bottles look absolutely beautiful. And I'll be absolutely honest, if Nick is watching, I was really looking forward to see what colour the key lime pie was going to be. I was expecting kind of green, a brighter green, but in that frosted bottle, it's in a label in a clear bottle. It was a little bit of a letdown, but ultimately that, the glass bottle and the label, does not change the way that it tastes. It just didn't look quite as nice on the shelf as with the rest of the range. But he's done it again. I don't know how he keeps doing it, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what else he's got on the cards, because at the moment we are, what have I had now? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for 5 in terms of absolutely getting it bang on. Raspberry, brilliant. Bison grass, fantastic. The rhubarb, I'm not much of a rhubarb gin fan, to be honest, but I think it's really well balanced. Apple crumble, stunning. Bloody apricot, really, really good. This is there with the apple crumble in terms of people looking at it going, apple crumble gin, key lime pie gin. Oh God, that's going to be really sickly sweet. No, it's not. It's perfectly balanced. It's so well done. And I wish more gin companies were doing that with their flavour profiles. What I like about these is he's actually dialing the flavours back to increase the complexity. A lot of flavoured gins out there, a lot of gin brands are going overboard with going, we're going to do a Christmas pudding gin, we're going to do a blood orange gin, I'm trying to think of something crazy, fruit salads, blackjacks, all of this lot, we're going to do all these sweet ones, and they pile the flavours on, and yeah, it's like, oh yeah, it tastes of blackjack, but it's too full on, it's too intense, it's too in your face. What I love about what Nick's doing is he's actually going, right, I've got the flavour, and I'm going to dial it back a bit to add the complexity, to actually make you kind of have to work with it a little bit, rather than going, have a load of concentrated key lime pie in a glass. That's not really what it's about. This is much more refined and more elegant. I think it's fantastic. Shush, Till. Right, so, as I've been waffling on, this has warmed in the glass. That liminess has kind of subdued a bit. It's gone a little bit sharper. The juniper's starting to kick through a little bit more. It's sort of losing that key lime pie element. And the thing is, key lime pie is quite delicate as a dessert, even if it is American, which tends to be in your face. It's getting those balance rights of the base, the middle section, and that creaminess on the top as well. And as it gets warmer, you just start to lose that balance, and it really does need to be chilled. You know, out the freezer, almost too cold, to be honest. You need it very well chilled in the fridge, but I wouldn't go any colder than that. Regardless, fantastic, highly recommended. $39.99 a bottle, same as all the others in the rest of the range. It is available, as always, through our website, www.spiritspecialist.com. I do have it on the shelf if you would like to come into the shop. As of time of recording next week, everything is open. It's free. Anyway, you're more than welcome to come in the shop and try what tiny little bit I've got left. If I don't open a bottle, take one out of stock, because I really want to do some cocktails with this as well. I think it's going to be absolutely brilliant for some long drinks. But yeah, fantastic stuff. Highly recommend it. Nick, you've done it again. Let me know what your next one is. I can't wait to try it. That's me done. I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.